It is 5:30 on Tuesday, January 25th, and which makes it time to call this meeting of the Monroe County Council to order. The first thing that we should do is make sure everyone is here for the record. So when I'll call on each of you, and if you could please let me know if you're here. Councilor Deckert.
Here.
Councilor Iverson.
Here.
Councilor Crossley.
Here.
Councilor McKim.
Here.
Councilor Munson.
Here.
Councilor Hawk. No, Councilor Hawk is not here. She should be here soon, though. And we will go ahead with the adoption of the agenda, but please let me know if anyone sees her hopping on so I can make sure she's acknowledged. We have an agenda for tonight. Does anyone wish to add or remove an item from the agenda? Okay, then we consider that agenda adopted. Next, we move to item 3, which is department updates. We don't have anything on the agenda specifically for department updates, but do we have any departments that would like to make an update at this time? See, Ms. Purdy is here to talk to us. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, so good evening. I have 2 items actually I'd like to bring to your attention. The first one, I had hoped to be able to introduce Bobby LaRue to you this evening as the new building commissioner. However, he's in a licensing board meeting that conflicts with this particular meeting. Part of the reason for introducing him to you tonight was obviously he's our new building commissioner, but we're also going to be asking that the building job descriptions that would be allowed to resubmit those to WIS. And I'll be asking the council actually to make a vote on this to allow us, Bobby and myself, to work with Ms. Shell on the job descriptions. And our request is based on a departmental restructure, which I believe is actually part of the WIS maintenance plan and would not be in violation of your own moratorium regarding job descriptions. I think that also I have to talk with Ms. Shell, that if we get a majority vote this evening on being able to move this forward, we don't have to go to PAC. So that would kind of speed things up. And then if you guys want some background, the job descriptions that were submitted, I think it was early last year, they really had not been reviewed by the building staff, and they're not accurate in their hierarchical reporting structure, and that meets the needs of the office or the intention of their continuity of operations plan. So we also want to change the titles because they don't make much sense to anyone. So if you are so willing, I would like to request a vote that we be allowed to review and make changes and clarifications in the building department's job descriptions and submit those, and have Ms. Shell submit those to WIS.
Okay.
Number 1.
Yeah, that's great. Councils, do you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Purdy on this? Councilor McKim.
Well, I guess maybe I'm asking what the process would be then if it doesn't go to PAC. What are the steps that you would like to take to get these job descriptions changed?
What I'd like to do is basically do what was supposed to have been done last year, make the corrections to the job descriptions, and then have allow Ms. Shell to forward those on to WIS, then come back for you guys then to approve.
And I will add to that, what we did last year was we had the departments go through and redline, bold any corrections and changes. And then that way WIS could see immediately what those changes are. Once I had those, I would submit those to WIS, just like I would with any other job description, submit those. Then they would ask me any questions or anything, and I would be that connection between Angie, the building, and WIS, and getting all of the questions answered and organizational chart and anything like that. So I would have to work with her on the organizational chart to start with, and then we would, submit the job descriptions. And so that way they can ensure that the hierarchy then is reflected in the draft job descriptions.
Okay, and so that this department did not do this review back when other departments were asked to.
That is correct. In essence, what happened was I submitted them to the department for review. I got them back with no changes other than I think maybe on the office manager one, there was some changes. The only changes that was made was the word supervisor was stamped on 2 of the job descriptions. And that was it. And that's the way they submitted them. So I forwarded them on to WIS. WIS sent them back with just those minor changes, and that was what got approved. And I didn't realize, I just assumed they were good, other than they needed the word supervisor. So, but then Margie and Bobby were talking to me the other day, and I guess some of the staff hadn't even looked at them. And that was part of the process, was the department head was to go over those with each of the employees to make changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Deckard.
I'm going to actually withdraw my hand. I had the exact same question as Councilor McKim. And I guess the only follow-up question I have, do we have anyone else that is going to fit into this circumstance or situation? Because I think it could be problematic for what we just did. Now we're doing it again.
Because of the moratorium, council had put in place, this is falls under a different category within that, because this is an entire department reorganization. And so unless another department steps forward and says, hey, we need to reorganize, that would be the only way. So I think I answered your question, but I'm not sure.
You did. And I should know this, and I apologize, I don't. How many employees and job descriptions is this?
Oh, I want to say 7 or 9, because I sent an email asking if we could fill a vacant inspector position. I think also an assistant for the office staff. But we wanted to wait to get this cleared up first, actually, just because it's kind of a mess. And it came about as a result of, the transition in the office. And Mr. Kirk Sylvester, I believe, is on this meeting for us tonight. I told him he wouldn't have to speak necessarily, but he is here if you want to ask him any questions about all this. But the intention is, let's get things on paper correct, and the reporting hierarchy correct, because right now it is apparently kind of crosswise. So we'd like to do that first, and then come back and figure out how we want to move from there.
I will add that in the salary ordinance, we have 10 full-time positions.
Thank you.
And I do believe one of them is that one that's been vacant for a while. That includes that one. So,
Yeah, and I know that Mr. LaRue wants to get things, like I said, in kind of some order and really make sure that they understand the operations of the office. But we may be having to come back for that particular position. And he does a really good job of explaining why. And I don't know, Kirk might be able to too. Has to do with all these apartments that are going up, and apartment buildings that have all these rooms is much worse than, say, like one big large hospital. But Kirk can definitely clarify over my interpretation of what I've heard.
Sure, that would be great. If you don't mind, Mr. Sylvester. Welcome to our meeting.
I had to find the mute button there.
Sorry.
I need you to repeat the question one more time. It's breaking up when right before Angie started explaining it. So I didn't get to hear the whole question.
What was the question?
Was it Mike? Are you talking? Was it my question?
No, I know what it was. It was regarding that tent inspector position and Trent. I don't remember your question, but we might want to come back to that. And it was wanting to look at, the efficiencies of the office once it gets in the proper order. And that it was explained to me that that position is actually needed because when we have all these apartment complexes going up, those are more labor intensive than, say, one large hospital.
Correct. Yeah, yes, you're very correct. There's so much moving parts in a building like that, and Monroe County and even the city of Bloomington, we're getting so many apartments and housing, and they're adding storefronts to them. They're adding all kinds of other little add-ons that 10, 15 years ago, we really didn't see that. So right now that extra inspector position that we're talking about is really needed in that category of the commercial inspector to be able to fulfill all those inspections. It's amazing how much housing really is going on there, and how many rooms, if you want to divide it up by rooms, of how many different apartment complexes and places like that are going up. And as like Angie said, you're doing a hospital, that takes a lot of knowledge, and that takes a lot of different type of code interpretation. But they're more of, you get into a wing of that and you're going boom, 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 as this is a surgery room, this is a surgery room, this is a waiting area. And it's like you were saying, is we get into the apartments and the multifamilies, it does take a lot more there. I hope that answers that.
It did for me. How about you, Trent?
So,
He did a great job. Thank you.
yeah,
Mr.
no,
Sylvester.
actually, I'm sorry. My brain is still going to the next thing. And I think this is maybe a question for Kim or Angie or maybe even Margie. I'm just curious about skipping PAC, and if that's it's okay to do that, or if we want to add that step in as kind of a check.
basically, you could go, PAC would hear the same story and then decide if they want to have the department move forward with changing, updating the job descriptions correctly. So that would be that step that we're kind of skipping.
But will the new job descriptions go to PAC at any point, or? Okay.
Yes, and then once they're done and everything, then they'll come back and you direct me saying, okay, then we want you to come back to PAC. So then that's what we would do. So.
Okay.
And I don't know how long this would take. And I would rather skip the PAC, which, the PAC meeting part, the first initial one, since I have everybody here. And you
Got
can
it.
weigh in. So is what I saw this as being, so either you want us to move forward and fix them, or let the department kind of mellow with them for 3 or 4 months and see how it goes. So that's where I'm at on how you want to move forward.
Okay. Counselor Munson?
Yes, I wanted to remind everybody that one of our concerns was that departments did not themselves go directly to WIS, but because WIS is contracting with the county government through the council, and we do have to manage our work with WIS. So I think this is okay as long as the council is involved through the council administrator.
Okay, thank you. Counselor McKim?
First of all, I believe that Counselor Hawk is on the line but has not been promoted. So could Marty be promoted, please? Okay,
Thank you.
there she is. So let the record note that Counselor Hawk is on there.
I've been trying. I couldn't get it to work.
I'm so sorry.
And then my question was, did I hear you say, Ms. Purdy, that you wanted to vote tonight on this?
Yes, it was suggested to me that I ask you guys for a vote to allow us to work with Michelle and just go through the process that way.
So Council,
Counselor Hawk.
Yes, may I ask who suggested such a thing?
I did because we normally take a vote with the PAC when we want to move forward with job descriptions going to WIS. So I suggested, and it's totally up to Margie and how we do this, but I wanted a consensus of the council that yes, you would like for me to move forward and work with Angie on these job descriptions and then forward them on to WIS. Since it is we're kind of skipping the PAC step is what we're doing.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out why you're skipping the PAC. I was trying to follow along. Is there a reason?
Yes. She wanted to get this done as soon as possible. And since there is, the new gentleman is trying to get things squared away, and this would just eliminate us going to PAC, asking permission to forward on to WIS. Since this was done.
I find that very problematic because I have a lot of departments who are under the gun, but it's whatever the will of the group wants. And we either have rules or we don't. We keep breaking them for special people.
Well, this is and I'm just saying this is a reorganization. So not every department will be able to fall under this.
It's hugely down in the week. I mean, huge. They're talking
Councilor
about
Munson?
plans.
There we go.
That was
yeah.
my reasoning, so.
Yeah. Counselor McKim?
well, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and make the motion. We could still continue the discussion under the motion, but
Okay.
since their vote has been requested, let's go ahead. And so council, I move that we authorize the commissioner's office to work with the council office to get the job descriptions for the building department sent to WIS for classification, and then go through all the usual process, which includes PAC and the council.
Do we have a
Second.
Great. Councilor Iverson?
Yeah, thanks. I actually fall a little along the lines of Councilmember Hawk on this one. It seems quite weird that we're hearing that we need to skip PAC. And I think I understand the rationale and everything, and I certainly want to support the department here. But I think this is very odd, I should say, the way that this is happening, and I just wanted to vocalize that briefly here.
I believe Councilor Hawk is next.
Yes, I know there's a place that where everybody else figuring out how to raise your hand. It's just like something new that we're going to start doing for everybody, because I think if we do it for one department, we have to certainly do it for all. I didn't notice that we moved forward with, there was discussion about what to do about the council attorney, and we sort of left that hanging, and we didn't take that to PAC. Are we going to take it to PAC? What's going? I don't know. If there's a bunch of new rules, just tell me what the rules are, and I'll do my best to follow.
Councilor McKim.
So first of all, we have explicitly, and we already agreed in the discussion earlier, that having a department reorganization is a valid reason for breaching the moratorium. That is already in what we have already passed, what we have already done, that a department restructuring. So it's not really going to be a slippery slope, because unless other departments plan on changing department heads and doing major restructuring, we're not going to feel obligated to hear a bunch of exceptions to the moratorium on position changes. And then the other thing is, PAC is there to advise the council. That is all it is. It has no authority of any kind except to make recommendations to the council. So sending this to PAC at this stage, while the whole council is sitting in front of us, is simply putting up process for the sake of process. It serves no purpose. We are all here. The PAC is there solely to advise us. We don't need to be advised by PAC, because we're hearing all the facts right now, and we can ask any questions we have.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions?
If this is how we're going to start doing it, I'm fine with it. I wish that the council would have done it for reorganizing our own office. But since that wasn't the will, we're going to move forward and just do it. And I'll play along with you, whatever.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the question. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
There we go. Sorry. Councilor Deckard?
Yes.
Councilor Munson?
Yes.
Councilor McKim?
Yes.
Councilor Crossley?
Yes.
Councilor Iverson?
Yes.
Councilor Wiltz?
Yes.
Councilor Hawk?
No.
Motion passed majority 6-1.
Thank you. And then the only other thing I have for the departmental updates, is just to remind you that we're still in need of clarification of non-union bargaining unit departments' ability to earn paid overtime. And specifically, are there restrictions as to when it can be earned, that kind of situation. So I just want to bring that back up to you, because I know that I brought it forward before the holidays, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just kind of want to bring it back to you.
Okay.
That's all I have right now.
Okay. And my recollection from our previous discussion was that there isn't a policy on that. Is that correct? On the use of and timing of use of overtime?
Yeah, if you look at our personnel policy, it references, the ability to earn overtime, but it doesn't say how and when that is when that happens, because everybody, the 40-hour or the 35, once they get past 35, once they get to 40, then it can be overtime, but most people use it as comp. But there's other departments, some departments, who allow it to be paid out. And so that's where there's this disconnect, in that some departments and employees can actually be paid, whereas others have to just have it be used as, put it into the compensation bank. And and then where it really comes disconnected for me is that in order to get paid out of your compensation time, you actually have to come to council for that approval. So this seems to me to be kind of a loophole, if you will, for some departments, because if their people had to use compensation, if it went into the comp bank, they wouldn't get it paid out. They'd have to come to council, and then you guys would have that conversation of why are they having all these hours? What's going on in the department that they're earning all of these compensation hours?
Got it. Okay. Margie Rice has her hand up.
Yeah, this is both one of those situations where it's both a personnel policy and a fiscal issue. So the personnel policy does describe it allows the department head when the discretion and the authority to when to have their employees earning compensatory time or overtime. And remember that because we're a governmental entity, we're allowed to give compensatory time, not just paid overtime. That's something that is allowed to governmental entities. So our personnel policy is very sort of hands off. We regularly get complaints from department heads saying, hey, why are you trying to micromanage us? Let us just determine if our employees are going to earn overtime or work in excess of a normal work week. So we've written it in such a way that allows those departments to have discretion. What Ms. Purdy is bringing up is the fact that not every department has an overtime line in their budget.
Oh.
So I think we talked about this before the budget sessions this year.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some departments that have a specific overtime line, and then they're able to transfer down into that, and they can pay overtime. And so there are differences in practices between the departments, and some departments are in fact allowing employees to earn compensatory time and overtime, and then they're actually earning more money than what the salary ordinance says they're going to make. So it's probably something the council should look at. I would recommend that you probably have payroll run a list of what the W-2 wages are for all employees, so you can see how much people are making. If it exceeds what the salary ordinance says, that'll give you a good picture about which departments are paying their employees extra, and that will then highlight for you, hey, maybe that's a department that might, need extra employees, or we need to reorganize things a different way, or maybe there's just something going on that you need to look at in that department. I'm happy to answer any questions that might have raised.
Councilor Hawk, you had your hand up.
Well,
I
I need to take a lesson on this to figure out what I'm doing wrong. Yes, I think one of the big things that we were trying to do by removing that overtime line was so that we didn't have some departments, I'll use Ms. Rice's terminology when she says rogue department heads. And so it sort of reminds me of why we did this to begin with, so that we didn't have some department heads who were sort of giving people a Christmas bonus by allowing them to grow overtime pay. And in all reality, if everyone was just only doing it because it was so necessary to operate their office, then it's up to the council to understand if maybe it would be wise to think more about adding additional personnel rather than paying somebody that kind of time overtime. So there were real reasons why we did this. And so maybe we need to just remove all those overtime lines.
Would this be in the purview of PAC to review and make a recommendation about this type of thing?
No. This has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
No, this is strictly a fiscal issue, so that it wouldn't go to PAC.
Okay. Okay, well, it sounds like we need to get information and look over some data and maybe put it on a work session agenda.
Okay. I will connect with you and/or Counselor Deckard and see what kind of information you want pulled and coordinate with Miss Purdy as well as Jordan.
Okay, that would be great. Counselor Hawk, now you have your hand up again.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
I think maybe I figured it out. Okay. We were getting from payroll a list, and maybe we've been getting it, but I'm getting like 200 emails a day, folks. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm going crazy over here. But we used to get a list of how many people in each department was building up too much comp time. Because we got to remember, if they decide to retire or leave or for whatever reason, then you have to start paying out dollars. And so it's important that this is a big dollar amount that we're looking at. We need to make sure it's not building up.
We just got a new a report recently on comp time. I think it just started up after, I think there was maybe a hiatus, but we just started getting reports again.
The list,
Oh, go ahead.
the list like we used to get? We got a report like that? Wonderful.
And then just for clarification, that's some departments who are, their people are banking their compensation time. They're not getting paid overtime. We have other departments who is paying substantial sums in overtime, and it's not ever even going to comp time. They're just getting paid out.
And we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. We will take this up at the next work session or one when we have some information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other departments who have updates tonight? Okay, let's move to our standing agenda item. This is the America Rescue Plan Act requests. Do we have anything for tonight under that item?
I have not received anything. I know Angie Purdy was reaching out. She was going to gather some extra information. So she's back on. So there she is.
I'm back. I thought it was going to be longer than that, actually. So, okay. And just, I keep saying this because I never remember it. And I'm hoping that eventually I will remember it. But it's the state and local fiscal recovery funds now.
Yes.
In the witness protection program. So just for clarifications, there's not been any changes to the policy since the one in December, when language was added regarding employee vaccine incentives and the funding for the criminal justice response coordinator. Now then, see here, I've made myself a note on this. This is something for you guys to think about and help me know how you want to proceed. But there was an agreement to fund 1.2 million of an endowment for the Community Foundation and United Way for the Heading Home plan. And I just kind of want you guys to start thinking about how you want to fund that, because it doesn't meet the direct use of ARPA funds. But there is revenue loss funds that come in, so I'll let figure that one out. And then when you want to make that payment, because I think the faster it gets invested, the faster it can do something. So that's really all I have. I'll be coming back to you guys next week, in February, with a request for the appropriation for the original 1.2 for the Heading Home plan. And we will have an MOU for you at that time, and a proposed budget from them. And then I'll also have Mary Morgan and Efrat with me, so that they can answer any questions you have to.
Okay, great. Councilor McKim?
Yes, and I don't want to have this discussion twice, but later this evening, we're going to be considering an appropriation for Wheeler missions, which I totally support. But I think that money would better come out of the local fiscal recovery fund rather than county general. And my understanding is that if we do approve it tonight, the appropriation out of general, we could then later, the commissioners could add this expenditure to the plan, and we could appropriate it out of, I'm still going to call it ARPA until if that's okay, but we could still appropriate out of ARPA and then make the corrections so that the expenditures don't come out of county general. That's my understanding from some earlier conversations. So I just want to kind of throw that out there.
And that would come under, you said, revenue loss in that bucket?
No, it's this bucket. I mean, the justification for the Wheeler mission expenditure is specifically tied to the impacts of COVID. I mean,
okay,
it's right here. So
yeah. Okay, I just misheard you, I think. Okay, and one other thing I wanted to ask about with respect to the formerly known as ARPA funds. We have, I don't know if it's an ordinance or I guess a resolution. I don't know what the terminology is, but the plan itself that was pulled together on behalf of the commissioners that sort of guides the expenditures. I was wondering where I could find that the other day, and I wasn't able to find it. Is it possible? Is it on the county website, first of all?
I honestly don't know, because I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. I know of the policy that was in December. I do.
Maybe that's it.
Is that it?
Maybe, yeah. I didn't know what. I guess, is it a policy? Because it was. We had to have a plan before we could do anything. That's what I mean. Where is the plan? But it's a policy, I guess, is how it.
I think they call it the plan. But I had to ask. I had asked Jeff Cockrell for a copy. I was not able to find it on the website. So.
Yeah. So that is something that we can definitely get on the website, and should have on the website for you guys and for everybody. So I'll figure out where that is at, and make sure that it is available. And I can also send you guys the last one, the December document, so that you would have that. And it's my understanding that document, we call it a policy, also a plan, is what would get amended to allow us to make the correction for the Wheeler mission support. And I'll be coming at you the next time also about the brine project for the highway department, which definitely fits into the use of the funds, but it hasn't been defined in the actual plan/policy.
Okay.
Did
Yeah.
I make it any more muddy? I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. And I appreciate that. Because I think what I have is just one of the drafts or something. And that's why I was unsure about it. I think that Bree Gregory is on the meeting and might have some information on state and local fiscal recovery plan dollars. Thank you for typing it in the chat. Where is she? Bree, would you like to speak?
Hi, I just emailed you all the latest version that I have, revision 1 of the plan. So that should be in your email. I did explain that it's not an executed version. I couldn't find that. So, but it's my understanding that that's the most recent.
Oh, okay.
If there was another specific question, I missed it and I apologize.
You mentioned in the chat, but maybe more explicitly about the expenditure report.
Oh, sure. Yes. I just submitted today the, I'm still calling it Arpa, the Arpa project and expenditure report. So that was submitted. There wasn't much to report as, we don't yet have any expenditures. We haven't appropriated specific funds within that fund. So I know we did pay out the vaccine incentive, but that was out of our self-insurance fund. And I know that we'll correct that later. However, like I said, nothing to report other than disclosing the update to our plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from counselors? Any other department updates from other departments? So I think we kind of jumped back. Okay. So we will now move on to item number 5. I'd like to invite Judge Galvin to join us. And he'd like to update the council on, I believe, the collection of juvenile probation user fees.
Good evening, folks. I will try to be brief. A few months ago, my staff came to me and pointed out that there's a great deal of research being done on the impact of the collection of fees on children and families who we deal with in juvenile court, specifically in delinquency cases. And they suggested to me that we should eliminate some optional fees. I totally agree with them, but I didn't want to do this, and this is up at my discretion, but I don't want to do it without letting you know that I'm doing it. The fees in particular that we're talking about are the informal adjustment fee, the juvenile probation user fee, and the community correction fee. Sounds like a lot. When you look at the actual collections, it's under $6,000 last year. But $6,000 to some of the children and families that we're seeing is a lot of money. So we think, we meaning my staff and I just want to make clear that it was their idea originally, but they have done an outstanding job, and I feel that this is absolutely appropriate, and I want to commend them for the idea, but I didn't want to do it without letting you know. What I will do is I won't be exacting the informal adjustment fee, the juvenile probation user fee, and community corrections fee. That's community corrections is basically a home detention fee. This is not going to affect the collection of restitution, which is an entirely separate thing, where young people should be repaying those who may have been injured by their actions. That's different. So I wanted to let you know that's really all this is. It's a FYI. I do want to point out for the public, if you may be listening, that over the years, we have saved the county taxpayers, I think it's fair to say, and not an exaggeration, millions of dollars by the way that we've approached the juvenile services, particularly secure detention for children. And we have, I think, made the community, I certainly believe, through our actions safer. And we've treated the children much more humanely. And I'm always remiss if I don't say it, but this is an outgrowth of the policies of Judge Viola Taliaferro that she started over 30 years ago. And so we carried that continuity forward. We think the collection of fees is just counterproductive right now for these families. I have kids who don't know where they're going to lay their head tonight. Trying to collect fees from those children and their families, what we might consider to be small amounts, to them are overwhelming amounts. So I wanted to let you know and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Judge Galvin. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about this. Councilor McKim.
This is really not a question. It's just I cannot more strongly support this move. This is fantastic. I would like to see it move up just from juveniles to other some of the other probation and other fees that we charge that can be really onerous. And I know that your department has always reassured us that we don't use aggressive means to collect these fees against juveniles, and that actually it's really only a very small percentage that are even collected versus assessed. But I just think the eliminating the fees entirely is really a progressive move and a way of continuing to make our justice system more compassionate. The last thing we want is this is user fee based justice, and so I think any moves we can make to get away from that is admirable. So I really appreciate this move and support it.
Councilor Iverson.
Yeah, Judge Galvin, thank you for spending some time with us tonight, and thank you for also including the memo in the packet for this meeting. For those of you watching at home, pay special attention to the links that are included in that memo, as it leads to studies that are done that are evidence-based that relate to these conclusions. And Judge Galvin, I really appreciate you including that in there. It's very helpful to see, and thank you for giving us this, again, your time and your actions here. Thank you.
Councilor Crossley.
Yeah, again, I echo the sentiments of the other counselors that have gone before, and appreciate everything that you've done, Judge Galvin, with this and doing a lot of research on this particular topic. I know that there's the Indiana House Bill 1359 that's very similar to this as well, that will eliminate. But I know, I'm just curious, I'm not sure if you know this, but how many counties do you know currently of any other counties that have already eliminated something like this, or are we trend setting for something like this? So I'm curious about that.
I don't know off the top of my head if counties have specifically done this. I am aware, though, that this is the trend that's coming in juvenile justice. You mentioned, Jennifer, that the task force, Representative Wendy McNamara, those of you who aren't familiar with Representative McNamara, she's really been a force in trying to bring about juvenile change in juvenile laws. And this task force, I think, is looking at that. The bill in question was to eliminate informal adjustment fees, but I think also you're going to see more of this around the state. And I can't speak for other judges off the top of my head, but knowing several judges share my views on this, I would not be surprised if they haven't already eliminated some of these fees or are in the process of doing so.
Yeah, I just like the fact that this is something that we're doing here in Monroe County, because this goes towards, restorative justice with everything. So I appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm over here muted. I apologize. Counselor Hawk, please go ahead.
Yes. First of all, good evening, Judge Galvin. For those of you who might not remember, he was our council attorney and back in the day before he was the judge. And at that time, he was also half-time for council and half-time for what we used to call the welfare office for the Division of Children's Services. So he goes way back to making sure that we do all that we can do. And I know everybody gives all of the credit to Judge Talaferro, and rightly so. However, those of us who were in the trenches know that Judge Galvin was a part of making sure that we did all we could do for the juveniles in this county. And I believe you'll see that we probably, I would hold us up to any county in the state to say that we do at least as much and most likely more than the other counties because we've put so much into juvenile services. So not only do we support CASA and all of the different programs, but the millions that have gone into having special services with their youth shelter and so forth. There is a lot of legislation going through, not just one bill, but a lot of legislation at the state level. And so I would appreciate it, Judge Galvin, if you have any in particular you'd like for me to make some calls about or whatever, to let us know, because I'm trying to watch them all, the Senate and the House. It's hard to watch everything. I've been doing that all day long for days now. But I want to make sure that we weigh in on those things that you feel like we need to be involved with. And also, while we're on the subject of juvenile and juvenile funds, is there not still some money in that special fund, that money that was left over from the welfare budgets, and we came back as an excess levy, a levy excess, like we had more money than what we needed for that welfare budget, and we set up a special fund, and we were only allowed to use it for juvenile issues. Did we use all of that, Judge Galvin?
I'm thinking we used. I could give you bad information right now, and I'm sure that if Troy Hatfield was available, he'd be able to jump, and Troy would jump right in. But my recollection is we used that when we did the shelter renovation. I don't know if there's any left, but I don't think it's substantial. If there is, I'll let you know, but I don't think so.
I thought there would be maybe a couple 100,000 left in there. There was more than $1 million in there, but let's take a look at that to see if there's some use that you want to make of that. To have to do that now, but at some point in time. Let's not just let it sit there and be idle when we have the youth of this county who could be using it for something, I'm sure.
Appreciate it, Marty. And yeah, we do go back a few years, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I go back about 50 pounds ago.
Let's not go, and we're not going there. Thank you.
Councilor Deckard.
I just want to briefly echo all the previous comments, except the ones about the pounds, of course. I've got a few of those myself. But Judge, I want to thank you for discussing this, bringing us to us, and yet again, you know, our county standing in a leadership capacity, and I think that speaks a lot to a lot of our judges, but particularly to you and your history with this council, your history with the county overall. And I want to add something. I don't know if others know here. I had an opportunity on a weekend to get in touch with Judge Galvin about funding and options we had during the last budget. And I'll never forget just how helpful and the calm demeanor you had while we were kind of ad hoc talking, and I was next to a bounce house and a bunch of screaming kids. And I was mortified, as a son of a court reporter, I was mortified to have that kind of a discussion in front of a judge. in that way, but you, as always, demeanor and your leadership and amazing stuff. And so while you're here, I wanted to try to say that to you, and we're just grateful to you, Judge, very much.
Thanks. And yeah, I just want to thank you, Judge Galvin, as well. It'll be, you're a tough person to replace, and that's coming up. So you'll be missed for sure. The children of our county have definitely benefited from your presence and your work. So please come visit us again before you go off into blissful retirement.
All right.
Thanks. So we don't have a vote on this. We just say yay and thank you and go forth.
All right. You all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You too. Okay, now we're on to item 6, which is our legal department.
Council, I move to approve Resolution 2022-01 between the City of Bloomington and Monroe County regarding Building Code Authority.
Second.
Okay, I think we have Jeff Cockrell and perhaps Dave Schilling.
No, I told Dave I'd handle it.
Oh, okay.
This and the next item are pretty housekeeping items. As I'm sure most of the council is aware, every time the county does an interlocal agreement with anyone, we have 2 choices on how to kind of affirm that and finalize it. One is we could either send it to the Attorney General for approval, or we could just have the fiscal approve it as well. I've always chosen to take it to the fiscal body because, one, it's easy to talk to you guys and answer your questions. And 2, even if you didn't vote on it, I'd still get all those questions that I'd have to answer. So I just find it more convenient and more transparent to do it this way. Tonight's interlocal, the first one I'll talk about, is the building interlocal. This is a continuation of a program we've had for at least 15 years and probably much longer. The county does all the building inspections within the city limits. This is the interlocal that allows us to do that and works out the terms of that arrangement. The terms have not changed from the previous year other than the actual time period it covers.
Okay, are there any questions from council? Well, seeing none, let's go ahead and have a roll call vote on the issue.
Public comment, maybe?
Oh, darn it. Is there any public comment? Okay, now could we have a roll call vote?
Councilor Munson. You're muted, Cheryl.
Yes.
Councilor McKim.
Yes.
Councilor Deckard.
Yes.
Councilor Hawk.
Yes.
Councilor Crossley.
Yes.
Councilor Iverson.
Yes.
Councilor Welts.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
And now we have item B.
Okay. Council, I move to approve Resolution 2022-02, the interlocal agreement between the City of Bloomington and Monroe County in regards to the Justice Assistance Grant.
Second.
Okay, you want me to go ahead and start?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Everything I said about interlocal agreements and how they are approved carries through for this one. This is an interlocal agreement we've had for a number of years as well. The reason we have this interlocal agreement is that the granting agency only wants to see 1 grant per county. So the City of Bloomington does the grant writing and works with the Sheriff's Department on how to utilize the funds that is apportioned to the county. This is done based upon violent crime statistics, and therefore the 91% of the funding will go to the city, while 9% will only go to the county. And I think that is probably in the county's best interest that those numbers are that way. The Sheriff's Department has decided to use these for tire deflation devices for their officers.
Okay. Are there any questions from council? Any public comment? Okay, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Now we have item 6C.
Council, I move to, I think, Councilor
Counselor
Hawk.
Hawk, did you have something?
Right. I was hoping before Mr. Cockrell left and we were talking about interlocal agreements that we would remind him we have not seen the interlocal agreement for some time that's with the city having to do with central dispatch. Just as a reminder since he was there. Thank you.
I am here and I have made a note of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, I move to approve Resolution 2021-66, a resolution supporting COVID-19 related relief for the Wheeler Mission Women's Shelter.
Second.
Jeff Cockrell, are you speaking on this as well?
I believe Angie Purdy is speaking on this.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
Welcome
Yes.
back.
Thanks. And I apologize. I don't remember how much this is, because shouldn't this be an appropriation? Or Jeff, do we need, was this not submitted right?
Yeah. Hold on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I think this, oops, as I'm going in and out of video. I think this is the one we were just talking about, whether it's going to come out of the state and local recovery fund dollars, or if it's going to be coming out of general fund. It was advertised as general fund. And I think we wanted to switch that to have it come out of the state. Is that right?
Not yet, because it's not in the plan policy.
Yeah, but we talked about amending the plan and then taking it out. Is this time sensitive?
Very much. We were supposed to have done this last year. And Wheeler has been, they've been waiting on money from both the city and the county. And so we've been a little bit, this is definitely a time sensitive issue. They definitely need the funding at this time for the women's shelter. We have about 28 to 31 women generally in the shelter. And they definitely need the funding because they thought they were getting it in like August. So we can always do a correction. So we can always add this to the plan, the ARPA plan, state and local fiscal recovery plan, funds or plan, and make a correction at that time. But this would allow the money to be paid expeditiously.
Okay. Are there any questions? Yes, there are. Councilor Hawk.
Jeff has a question.
Okay, Councilor McKim.
Yeah, actually, I mean, what's in the packet is a 2021 resolution supporting supporting the expenditure for Wheeler Mission. So I'm actually not sure what we're at, but what we're being asked to approve here. I don't think we have an appropriation ordinance here, do we? Was an appropriation advertised, but the wrong document made it into the packet, or what? What are we actually being asked to approve?
I was wondering.
Because this is a 2021 resolution.
Yeah, and it should have been for an appropriation. Okay, Jeff says the resolution says the money had been appropriated. But if it was it was appropriated in 2021. The problem is that it's 2022, right?
Yeah, it would have lapsed if it was appropriated,
Right.
not spent, not encumbered. So this, just to be clear, is this completely separate from the money that was going to support Wheeler's expansion? Two separate things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sorry, in case you can't see my head going up and down.
And I don't know if Kim is, if Kim can give us any help here with her, any background, Kim Shell.
Nope, I'm totally confused.
Yeah, what are we being asked to actually approve here? Is it just the resolution in support, or was there actually an appropriation that was advertised but just didn't make it into the?
No, we didn't receive anything to advertise. What is in the packet is what we received.
Okay, so we're just being asked to support this resolution in principle to allocate $150,000.
Angie, do you recall what fund we were talking about?
Yeah, it was.
Well, the packet says general.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the intention was, okay, sorry, was getting a text there at the same time. So the intention, the fund was county general with the COVID cares, the 0069 location.
Okay.
That was where it was in 2021. And I guess, and then I don't know what came to you guys. And we actually will now need an appropriation. And if it hasn't been advertised, I'll just add that to your next meeting.
I mean, I have a suggestion for a way with the way, what we have in front of us is a resolution. We can vote on that. I certainly support it, and hopefully a majority will support it. And then if the commissioners could amend the ARPA plan to add this to ARPA, and then we could just vote on the ARPA appropriation at our next meeting. So that would still get this done pretty expeditiously. Does that work? I mean, obviously you can't commit the commissioners to approve the plan, but I mean, we can ask them to.
Mm-hmm. I think that sounds wonderful. I will have an opportunity to talk to them tomorrow. So let's just address it that way. I just feel really bad for Wheeler, but not that anybody can solve that problem right now.
And the amount is 150,000?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Munson, did you have a question or comment?
I'm very glad that we found a way around this. I was going to ask about that, but I think we have a plan.
Yes, I think so. Any other questions, Councilor Deckard?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if I understand this correctly, the underlying motion I've got here for the resolution will indicate to Commissioners Council's support for the potential scenario that we just discussed, and I hope that this will pass.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Any other council comment?
Yeah.
Public comments? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilor Iverson?
Yes.
Councilor Crossley?
Yes.
Councilor Munson?
Yes.
Councilor Deckard?
Yes.
Councilor Wiltz?
Yes.
Councilor Hawk?
Yes.
Councilor McKim?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. I apologize for the confusion of all of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we found a good way to fix it. Now we are on to item 7 with the correctional center.
Council, I move to approve the sheriff's request to spend from the jail commissary fund.
Second.
And I think we have Sheriff Swain here to tell us about the request. Welcome.
Under the Indiana statute governing sheriff's commissary expenditures, under I think it's D9 expenses, or I'm sorry, any other purpose that benefits the sheriff's, excuse me, it's kind of emotional moment here. Any other expenses that benefits the sheriff's department that is mutually agreed upon by the fiscal body and the county sheriff. As in the description, we lost Reserve Deputy James Driver. Annually, there is a national ceremony in Washington, D.C., in which the survivors of fallen officers come to participate in the ceremonies, in which most of the time the President of the United States speaks, as well as the Attorney General. There are a lot of programs for the survivor families. It's also very important for the law enforcement officers affected by the loss of a fellow officer to attend these ceremonies. It's a very moving event, and I think it helps bring the entire tragedy to full circle while not a conclusion. I've asked for several of the officers that worked closely with Deputy Driver if they would like to attend the ceremonies. I set a budget of $20,000, which I am sure is more than we would need. I'm requesting council approve that funding. Additionally, the Driver family from England is also planning to attend. I think about 12 plan to fly to the United States to attend the services. And therefore, I think it'd be a good thing. I've participated in a similar event with Deputy Sergeant Bill Brand a few years ago. And I find this will be very beneficial to the deputies who were closest to Deputy Driver.
Okay, thank you. Are there any council questions or comments for Sheriff Swain? Councilor Hawk. You're unmuted now.
I certainly support, why is this still saying? Okay, I support this action, but what I'd like to hear is the dollar amount that we have sufficient in there, right? Isn't there a rather large balance in there now?
There is. It's around $90,000 at the present time.
Right. Thank you.
Councilor Iverson?
I'd just like to express my support for this as well. Sheriff Swain, I know this is a difficult time for you and all the folks there in the Sheriff's Department. And the last time I visited you all there, the loss was certainly very palatable. And I certainly could not agree with you more that this action can go forward with some healing that is necessary in this time. So I certainly hope that you and the others can find encouragement in the fact that we're supporting in this, and certainly with Deputy Driver's family as well.
Thank you.
Any other council comment or questions? Is there any public comment on this issue? All right, seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is item 8, also from the Sheriff's Office.
Council, Council, I move to open for discussion and approval the Sheriff's Office request to amend the special occupation Captain of Operations position salary and amend the amount in order to correct the salary compensation hierarchy error just recently discovered with an effective date of January 16th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, and I believe we have Chief Deputy Brummett here as well to talk about this. Welcome.
Yeah, so thank you. Good evening, all. This was something that was discovered in the end of 2021, December, when our then current Captain of Operations, Ryan Davis, was informing us that he was leaving Sheriff's Office going in the private sector. We started then looking at who was going to promote up to captain in the hierarchy. We was looking at lieutenants. And this is when this was discovered that a 20-year lieutenant was making the same as our Captain of Operations, and a 25-year lieutenant was making $2,000 more than our Captain of Operations on a salary. And we're just trying to correct this in the hierarchy and the salary discrepancy.
Okay. Do we have any questions from council? Councilor Munson.
I had the opportunity to talk with Chief Deputy Brummett and with Ms. Shell and other council members reviewing this, and it really was an oversight on our part. This is something that we would just like to get corrected, and I think of this as a housekeeping matter, but important to take care of right away.
Councilor McKim.
Well, so I'm trying to find in the packet where the actual numbers are.
I don't know.
Are reflected. I mean, basically what we got here, I thought was a sort of a conceptual motion to discuss this, but there's no actual numbers for us to vote
Right.
on. Okay, just wanted to make sure that nobody was expecting action, because there's no action to take here. I mean, I agree in principle, but is there a specific number that's being proposed?
Yes, there is.
What
Michelle.
I was going to say, I shared the information with the entire council after meeting with the liaisons. And so I gave you like four or five different choices. And so that's why there's not a specific amount tied to that. And it was my error. I did not get that spreadsheet included in the packet, but I can display it now if you want to look, or we can.
Please.
I mean, yeah, I think if we're discussing it, we need to look at
that.
the options.
That'd be great. Thanks.
All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. This section right here is what we're speaking of. This right here. The captain of operations was approved at $35.65. A 25-year lieutenant is $26.62. So
36.
Or sorry, 36.62. And then I made a suggestion that in order to always move forward and ensure that this doesn't happen again, that council think about using the Lieutenant 25 year as the base for the captain of operations, and then adding a dollar amount on top of that, and setting that as always a reference that way it will ensure that this doesn't happen again. So I come up with some scenarios here with regards to adding $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, and $2. But what happens when you get down into the $2, it greatly diminishes the difference between the captain of operations and the chief deputy compared to the lieutenant and the chief captain of operations. So that's, I think a $2 increase is out of the question, right? You know, for this type of a scenario. So that would leave these three, or you guys can just choose an amount that you would like to see going forward. I would like to remind you that we do have in place, because the department requested as well as council, that the assistant jail commander and the captain of operations are in parity. So, but if you look at theirs right now, there's not an issue with regards to the salaries. So that may be another thing to look at later. But for right now, the captain of operations is our issue.
There's still two hands raised, nope, and one hand. Are there any council questions or comments? Ms. Munson, do you have a question?
So I believe we need a motion
The numbers.
with specific numbers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think
Well,
if
yeah.
you want to vote, yeah.
Okay. I think it's important to get this corrected as soon as possible, so we're
Right.
not continuing on. I move that the salary of the captain of operations be increased from $36.62 per hour to $38.12 per hour.
Second.
I was gonna say his hourly rate is actually $35.65.
Oh, I'm sorry. 35. Let me revise that. From $35.65 per hour to $38.12 per hour. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes.
Thanks.
And I'll second that, but can we also note in the salary, do we want to actually note in the salary ordinance that it would be $1.50, it would be an increase of $1.50 from the 25-year lieutenant? You want to,
yes.
You want to put that in the salary ordinance, right? Not just the number
That
itself.
That would be good.
Yes, I would need that language as well.
So you want to remake your motion, Councilor Munson, and I'll second it again if that's.
I would like to continue my motion to add a footnote to the salary ordinance that this increase reflects $1.50 per hour relative to the lieutenant's base salary at 25 years longevity.
Second.
Okay.
Great. Do we have any questions?
That's terrible.
Do we have any questions or comments on the motion?
You should.
Councilor Deckard.
Thank you very much. And I apologize for my inadequate motion, but was happy to see Councilor Munson save the day on that. I guess my question is for Michelle. Does the footnote on the $1.50, does that take care of issues where this might creep up again in another fashion, and then with the captain position and then move, or sorry, pardon me, the lieutenant position and then move the captain position? Am I asking that right?
Yeah, so what happens if this passes? The captain of operations his base rate will always, unless you guys change it, will always be the lieutenant 25-year base plus $1.50 on the hour. And that's how the footnote will read.
Okay, until
you guys change it, that's the way it will read.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Hawk?
Yes. I think we need to make certain that we also do the same kind of correction because if they're to be on parity, these two positions, then we need to change the jail position as well. I mean, we can't, it's hardly that person's fault that there's not somebody around who's been around for 25 years. So that's not I mean, if we're going to change this one, and I believe it's the correct thing, we have to do something here with that, but then we recognize that was a problem. And then in order to fix it, and for both of those positions to be equal, then we're going to have to change the other one as well. And that's just where that base salary is going to start out at. Whatever that lieutenant 25, even if we don't have anybody down the road that's 25 years in as a lieutenant, whatever that amount would be for the 25-year lieutenant, then that dollar amount on top of that should be the same amount as we're using for the jail commander, correct? I mean, does that sound correct? I think we should at least address that at our next session. I mean, I'm not asking anybody to do it now.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do we have any other council comment or questions about that? Is there any public comment on this issue?
Councilor Munson has a question.
Yes.
Yes. Further on our agenda tonight, there is a discussion with the auditor regarding the correction center compensation. So perhaps that will lend itself to some resolution there.
Okay. Okay. Is there any public comments? Hello?
Hello.
It's like Sam Crow is here to talk to us.
Hi, I'm not public, but I would like to make a comment on this.
Sure thing.
And Marty, I appreciate what you said there. And if you recall, several years ago, there were issues with the way that the county grid affected the jail and the sheriff's office. And the conclusion to that, the thing that we all came up with, was to put the chief deputy, the jail commander, the assistant jail commander, and the captain of operations at the same level. So I really appreciate you standing up and speaking that. And I believe that if the captain of operation his salary is raised, I believe the assistant jail commander should be raised as well. And again, keep that parity between those positions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think we can definitely do that. That would take Michelle?
So if someone wants to amend the motion to add the assistant jail commander to that, That's all you would need to do.
Councilor Deckard?
I'm going to take a stab at that, and
Okay.
somebody correct me if I get it wrong. Here we go. I move to amend the assistant jail commander salary from 35.65 to 35.
38.
3812.
38.12
Mhm.
and add $1.50 to the footnote on the salary increase.
I second.
Does that work for you, Ms. Shell?
Yes.
Just a point of order, that this would be a motion to amend the motion on the floor. So
It
we'll
is.
vote on this.
Right.
If it passes,
Right.
then we vote on the underlying motion to.
Right.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to add the assistant jail commander to the salary adjustment. Any public comment on that?
Question.
Councilor Hawk.
I'm sorry, another question. When we do this, it's sort of like a domino effect. So
It is.
is this putting us, where are we at with the rest of it?
That's it.
What?
Well, that's why I think it's good that Ms. Shell's analysis here shows where this pushes up against the chief deputy as well, or the jail commander as well. So
Yeah.
we can kind of see that we're still spaced out.
Yes.
Some of us more than others.
More about us than them, I suspect.
Right.
Whoops. Yeah.
I guess that to Councilor Hawk's point, the numbers for the chief deputy sheriff and the jail commander include their longevity. And so if a person would be put into that position in the future who had fewer years, that would change the distance between those. Am I correct?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
Okay, good. Then I'm just gonna be happy that other people know that.
Yeah. And these numbers, this right here, which is what you're looking at. Sorry, I'm trying to do this so everybody can see.
Right.
This right here, these totals still remain within the WIS recommended range rates. So, and I can show you that real quick. It's at the bottom of this scale. So, and they're right here. So this is the ranges. So moving the assistant jail commander and the captain of operations, that's, up to 79. They're still within that rate right there. And then you have your jail commander as well as your chief deputy at 84, which is still within that range. So just changing that little bit right there so that everybody's still within the range.
Okay. Are there any other council questions? Any public comments? And let's go ahead and have a roll call vote on the amendment.
So we're voting on the amendment first, right?
Yes.
Right.
Councilor Wiltz,
Yes.
Councilor Deckard,
Yes.
Councilor Crossley,
Yes.
Councilor Hawk,
Yes.
Councilor Munson,
Yes.
Councilor McKim,
Yes.
Councilor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thanks.
Great. So now we have the fully expanded version of the motion. Are there any further questions or comments on that? Are there any public comments on the item on the table? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please, on the entire package?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I believe that brings us to item number 9 from the Highway Department.
Council, I move to approve the Highway Department's request to create a new account line 40001 equipment and approve a category transfer of $15,000 from the supplies category to the capital category.
Second.
Welcome, Mr. Ridge.
Good evening.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, the commissioners had put in their GO bond for a lowboy trailer that our crews use for hauling equipment. Since we've received quotes back in the spring, the price has gone up just from that quote, $11,390. So we are requesting to transfer money from our existing pipeline. It's coming out of our Cume Bridge, which is basically the group that uses more of that excavator hauling than the other divisions of the department. So, and we don't believe that it will have an issue or an impact on our pipe account line due to, we anticipated that 2022 costs would go up for our culvert pipes and pipe replacement projects. So we actually put in 2 big orders back in November and December at the 2021 prices. So, we this way we wouldn't have to ask for an additional at this point.
Are there any council questions or comments? Or is there any public comment?
Marty has her hand raised.
Go up. Okay, I'm trying to look at the agenda. So now what's going on? I don't.
Okay, you don't have a question though.
No.
Okay. Could we go ahead and have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Have a good night. Next is item 10 from the Sophia Travis Grants Committee.
Council, I move to approve resolution 2022-03 to amend the 2021 Sophia Travis Community Services Grant Agreement with the Monroe County Humane Association.
Second.
And Ms. Munson, would you like to explain this item for us?
Yes, the Monroe County Humane Association requests that they change the purpose of their Sophia Travis grant from purchasing a vehicle, which they sorely needed, to enhancing storage security at their emergency center. And the reason for this is very straightforward. There are no vehicles of the type that they wish to purchase that are available for them to buy. And I think other people know about supply issues. So it's very straightforward, but since we do have a formal agreement on the grants, we need to handle this by a vote of the council and then also an approval of the commissioners for a change in the contract. So this is coming to you all and the council. the Sophia Travis Grants Committee does recommend this to the council.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council on this item? Seeing none, are there any public comments? May I have a roll call vote, please?
I will take care of that for you. Megan had to step away. Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk? Not present. Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Motion passed. Counselor Hawk, would you like to weigh in?
I had to go get something to eat. I'm sorry. I don't know what. It just passed.
Just pass. Okay.
Yeah. I'm out of it here. I have to eat something.
Okay. Motion passes 6-0-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have the item 11 from the council office.
Council, I move to approve the request to amend the merit deputy grid with the correct WIS increase only grids and amend the 2022 salary ordinance with an effective date of December 19, 2021. This is the second reading of the amendment request.
Second.
All right, so we did talk about this last meeting, but are there any questions from council tonight? I do not see any, so I will ask, is there any public comment? And seeing none there, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Counselor Wiltz?
Yes.
Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
No.
Counselor Crossley?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Motion passed by majority 6-1. Great, thank you. And now we have item, is this 11B?
This is the encumbrance item, so bear with me as I make a hearty motion. Council, I move to approve the encumbrance requests of the following departments from the 2021 budget funds to the 2022 budget funds. The encumbrance detail is set out on the agenda and is as follows. Assessor's Office Fund 1224-0000 Reassessment Fund, $4,064.64 in the capital category. Aviation Department Fund 1107-0000 Aviation Fund, $1,974.78 in the supplies category, $7,618.57 in the services category, $24,194.32 in the capital category, for a total of $33,787.67. Board of Commissioners Fund 1114-0068 Lit Special Purpose Commissioners, $59,820.80 in the capital category. Clerk's Office Fund 10000001 General Fund Clerk, $79.95 in the supplies category, $6,715.66 in the capital category, for a total of $6,795.61. Clerk's Office Fund 1215-0062 Election Fund Election Board, $65 in the supplies category, $6,561.45 in the services category, for a total of $6,626.45. Council Office Fund 100000 0061 General Fund Council, $29,616.55 in the services category. Council Office Fund 11860000 Rainy Day, $1,224,432.67 in the services category. Health Department Fund 11590000 Health Fund, $660.98 in the services category. Health Department Fund 11680000 Local Health Maintenance, $16,979.29 in the services category. Highway Department Fund 11350000 $156,914.42 in the supplies category. $1,961,818.86 in the services category. $62,000 in the capital category, for a total of $2,180,733.28. Highway Department Fund 11690000 Local Road and Street, $82,252.45 in the supplies category, $370,387.85 in the services category, total of $452,640.30. Highway Department Fund 11710000 County Major Bridge, $2,719,787.53 in the services category. Highway Department Fund 11760531 Motor Vehicle Highway Maintenance and Repair, $49,276.19 in the supplies category, $283,217.50 in the services category, for a total of $332,493.69 total. Highway Department Fund 11970000 Stormwater Management, $14,916.94 in the supplies category, $303,246.84 in the services category, for a total of $318,163.78. Highway Department Fund 49200000 Westside Economic Development TIF, $1,890,380.02 services category. Highway Department Fund 49220000 Fullerton Pike Economic Development TIP, $182,111.75 in the services category. Highway Department Fund 12290000 Lowett Special Distribution, $2,203.24 in the services category. Human Resources Employee Services Department Fund 10000309 General Fund HR, $144,000, $144,175 in the services category. Legal Department Fund 10000277 General Fund Legal, $321 in the services category. Parks Department Fund 10000803 General Funds Parks, $16,692.18 in the capital category. Planning Department Fund 10000079 General Fund Planning, $46,163.31 in the services category. Surveyor's Office Fund 12020000 Surveyor's Corner Perpetuation, $14,970 in the services category. Treasurer's Office Fund 10000003 General Fund Treasurer, $30,845 in the services category.
Second.
I felt like that deserves some applause.
I think you missed a number, Trent. I think we may have to read it over again.
Where at? For
We
real?
didn't hear that real well. You, yes, right.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Trent. So Michelle, is there anything that we need to say about this long list?
No, this is something we do annually. It's totally up to the council on which, what funds get encumbered, because that is amounts that you're adding to the 2022 budgets. So, no, it's just totally a council decision.
Councilor Hawk?
Yes, if I understand this correctly, these are, if it's encumbered, they can only encumber it if they already have the appropriation that we would have appropriated for 2021, and they have the contract to do it. This is not like an additional appropriation.
Correct.
Though you do have to adjust your financial statement, which shows that, you know, it's going to come from the cash that's left over at the end of the year. But we already appropriated this, bless you.
Right, and that is correct. And so these amounts are already appropriated in 2021. You're approving moving that appropriation forward to 2022. Then, which in essence, it gets added to the budget. So when you do the LAO reports, it shows as an encumbrance, but it's added into the total.
But it actually isn't like, oh, let's just make up a number. Let's say if we budgeted 20 million for 2022, it doesn't mean that we're adding this on to that. It just means that when you're looking at the whole, what I used to call the 16-line statement, it shows you have to reduce the amount of dollars available because you have those encumbrances. I think that's on the old financial statement used to be like on line 3 or something like that. So
yeah, because when we do the reports and it's the Form 4B, we have to put in what is encumbered. So that all comes out and shows up. So when we do those moving forward for 2023, we have to put in what did we encumber.
Right.
So, yep.
We might also be interesting to see what actually for those, I don't know how hard this might be to do, but if we could see how much each of those departments are returning back, that's reverting back, because we do count, we can't legally count on it, but when we were sort of doing our work sessions on this, we were counting on reversions in order to meet the sort of goals that we had in mind. So it would be nice to know where we actually hit with those reversions at some point in time.
Kim sent that out today, I think.
I sent a quick one out earlier this afternoon, but I, like for general fund, I did not break it down. I just did a quick total, but I can totally go in and break it down per department. That is not a problem.
I'm sorry, it sounds like as if I'm not keeping up to date, but you know, the state has me busy this.
Yeah, it just came this afternoon, but I think it shows what you're looking for.
Yeah.
At least by fund, it shows the reversions as well as the encumbrances.
Yeah, but if you want to see it by department, I can do that as well.
But just sort of lets us know when we get ready to do our budgets for this next coming year, if we had over budgeted or where we might be able to reduce spending someplace.
Okay, I can do that.
Just when you have nothing else to do, because we can't do anything with it until we get ready for budget sessions anyway.
Thank you, Kim. Councilor Munson.
Yes, I was thinking along the same line about the reversions, and I wondered if our expected reversions when we were doing the budgeting actually came out close to what actually showed up at the end of the year.
I have to look that up, so.
Okay. Because that will help us when we start working on the 23 budget.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions? Michelle, you're going to look that up in an email? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions from counselors? All right. Is there any public comments? Then could we please have a roll call vote?
You can, but I think maybe Marty had something to say.
I had a question in that they can transfer within each of their categories. They could not have transferred from any of their categories around to another category without our vote. So I hope that people were watching that as well. I mean, I don't know who's looking at this to make sure it's copacetic, but.
I would think that that's something that the auditor is looking, but we have talked in the past about perhaps doing a transfer report. That's just something we've talked about to see sort of how people are transferring around. When you're talking about overtime and compensatory time, you'll also want to see how people are transferring around in their own 01 category or their salary categories. But if that's a report that you'd like, Kim and I can work with the auditor's office to make sure we can get that for you.
Okay.
And I just need to clarify, Councilor Hawk, you're talking about seeing a report for in-house transfers? Oh, you're muted.
I'm trying to eat. So I just wanted to make sure that no one thought that they could move from one category to another category and then encumber that some other way, because the only way, if I recall what we're supposed to do, they can only encumber from each of the categories that they already have an appropriation. They can move within that fund, with each of the 4 different funds. They can move that around with just a letter of transfer, but they cannot move from one category to another category without our vote.
Right.
Right. And Megan and I went through the LAO reports with regards to these encumbrances and to ensure that they did have enough left in that account line appropriation.
Right.
So we took care of that, and the LAO reports are attached in the packet as well.
Thanks.
Kathy Smith, our auditor, is here. Hi.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Marty's right. We do not transfer between categories. We transfer within a category. That's an in-house transfer. And that's the only thing that we do our encumbrance from. It has to be within that. No one can transfer from one category to another without going to council. I want to assure you of that.
Great. Yes. Thank you. I think
we need to vote.
Clear?
Yes.
We're good.
Please,
and we're going to vote.
We need to vote.
Okay, let's do it.
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Wiltz,
Yes.
Counselor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Phew. Now we are on to item 12, and we have Ms. Smith from the auditor's office as well.
Council, I move to approve the auditor's request to amend the 2022 salary ordinance to correct an error that was recently discovered in the jail grid notes section.
Second.
Guys. Hi, guys. So basically, I think Kim sent something out to you today. a short, and if they're going to put it on the screen. Anyway, if you will look at this, and I don't know if I can wiggle it around. I probably can't, but maybe Kim can. So if you scroll down a little bit, whoever's running this, that would be wonderful. You'll see, okay, stop, perfect. You'll see the correctional officer, Pole B, has the base rate of 1998 in this notes at the bottom of the grid. But if you'll roll up and you'll look at the grid where it says correctional officer, Pole B, it says 1959. So the grid was correct. However, the notes at the bottom were incorrect. And so what happened is, I'm understanding in the jail, they went by the bottom numbers, but those were not the numbers that we used in collective bargaining. They're not the ones in the grid. It was just a typo. It was one of those where we put the 2% in because the council had asked Kim to do that, and then the 2% came out, and that just didn't get reverted back to the less that extra 2%. So what I'm asking for, I want to see what you guys' thoughts are, because they've already turned in their change forms with the higher amount, a few cents difference there. We've paid them one pay cycle, getting ready to be a second pay cycle. Obviously, it needs to revert back to what you guys had voted on and what you had collective, been submitted for collective bargaining. But I was hoping you would allow me to let the correctional officers keep that little bit of money that's different. And then I could make a note in the salary ordinance. Jeff Cockrell and I spoke of this, so that when we go to get audited on that salary ordinance for those total payouts, they will understand it was a clerical error, and we just it was so small, it was negligible. We didn't pull the money back. So that's sort of what I'm asking for.
Okay. Are there any council questions on the auditor's proposal here? Councilor McKim.
I support the proposal. I think it makes sense moving forward. I do kind of wish that we could maybe give the merit deputies on the sheriff's side kind of the same little extra bonus for the first two pay periods because that error was caught earlier. And so they didn't benefit from the error, but the corrections officers did. But I mean, I certainly support this proposal. I would have absolutely no support for trying to reclaim that small additional amount that was accidentally given to the corrections officers.
Councilor Munson?
Yes, I support this, and as a rule, we don't ask for money back that we have paid to our employees. And given the challenges at the jail, I think those few extra cents were very well earned, and I don't see any reason to change the proposal.
Thank you.
Councilor Hogg?
I think you already know how I feel about this. Anytime we can figure out a way to get law enforcement more money, and I include that jail staff with that, I think we should do it. All you have to do is just follow what's going on at the state level and other counties and how they're struggling to keep their law enforcement positions filled, their jail staff filled. A 2% on top of what we had talked about months ago is not a big deal. But I know that's not what you're talking about, but that's what I would have preferred.
Okay. Any other council comment or questions? Councilor Deckard?
Thank you very much. I just appreciate the auditor coming in and talking to us about this, as well as I know Michelle's helped to make us aware of this. I appreciate that. effort, the effort to get it corrected. Council is a partner with so many other departments and elected officials on getting things right. We have to uphold our end of that too. And I think this is our way to get this corrected and move on down the road.
Thank you. Councilor McKim?
So are we being asked to actually make this change tonight, or are we just being informed of this so that we can make a decision at the next meeting?
Good question. Tonight I'm just asking you to support it so that I can get the numbers together and give you so that you'll know what it is, because we'll have to add it to the salary ordinance. We'll revert the pay to the correct pay, which is the negotiated pay and what's in the grid. We'll go ahead and get that switched. And then I will come back to you with the actual numbers and ask you to add that to the salary ordinance as a correction and an explanation. And I believe Jeff Cocker was going to help me write that up. I see he bailed on us, so he's probably not going to.
Okay. That makes sense. Are there any other questions? Okay. Is there any public comment? I don't know if we do public comment. I guess we do. Now, so are we voting to support this?
Yes, I would like you to vote to support this so I can move forward. Right.
Just wanted to be clear. Thanks. Yeah. With no public comment, let's go ahead and have a roll call vote, please.
Councilor Crossley? You're muted.
Darn it. Yes.
Councilor Iverson?
Yes.
Councilor Wiltz?
Yes.
Councilor McKim?
Yes.
Councilor Munson?
Yes.
Councilor Hawk?
Yes.
Councilor Deckard?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you, Auditor Smith. We'll see you next time. And it looks like our next item then is, it's me. I would like to open just a short discussion regarding elected official salaries. We talked about it a lot at the end of last year, and I indicated that we would look at it again in 2022, which is what I'd like for us to do, and talk about the next steps for reviewing elected official salaries. And I'm interested in what my colleagues would be interested in knowing, what information we could be gathering, and any suggestions you have for the process.
Madam President, I would say I appreciate that you have this as an agenda item and that it is here in January of 2022 so that we do have time to talk about it, think about it, and get information that we need. I think that one of the things that we have learned over the years is that when things are towards budget time and towards the end of the year, it puts unnecessary pressure sometimes. Sometimes it's nothing else you can do, but it does put unnecessary pressure on not only sort of the council process, but our staff process. I think probably Michelle and Ms. Rice, as well as Ms. Miller, could write a book on that if they were being real candid with us. But I do think that now is the time, much like you've done with the ARPA discussions, to kind of have these standing things so that we can begin to do what we need to do, because we all know, even in a crisis, it takes county government and government a minute. We're pretty quick when we need to be, but it does take us a minute on these tougher questions. So I do want to note that I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any thoughts that they'd like to share on this topic? All right. What I would like to do is at the work session, bring a list of if anyone can bring a list of what types of information they would like to see with respect to elected official salaries. And we can go from there. Thanks. We can move to item. Do I need to ask for public comment when we discuss something? Okay. County Council, let's see, this item 14, boards and commissions. I'm just going to remind the public that the County Council has several citizen member vacancies, and they include the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, the Environmental Commission, the Sophia Travis Community Grants Committee, as well as the Women's Commission. And if you're interested in serving on a board or commission, please visit our website. It's co.monroe.in.us and click on the board and commissions tab. And there you will find the application, and please fill it out. It doesn't take long. I did it once and it's easy. So please feel free to contact the council office with any questions on the process, but we are looking for active members of the community to join us in our boards and commissions. After that, we have item 15, which is approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes, December 14, 2021 regular session and December 21, 2021 work session. Do we have any council members who would like to modify or edit the minutes? Okay, seeing no changes, the minutes will be accepted as presented. That brings us to council comments. Are there any councilors who would like to say anything? Councilor Munson.
Thank you. Council members already know about the food and beverage report for the month of December, but the public doesn't always know this information, even though that information is posted on the council's website. And I just want to let everybody know that in December, we had $372,000 in tax revenue, which is more than any other prior month. And the last 3 months of 2021 were more than 2018, 2019, and 2020 for the same period of time. So in terms, things may be really hard for the hospitality industry and restaurants right now. We hear about this all the time, especially with staffing issues, but things are doing well. The public is supporting the restaurants. And I think this is just good news for us in terms of our local economy. So thank you.
Thank you. That's good news. Councillor Hawk.
Yes, sort of a piggyback on food and beverage and innkeeper's tax and so forth. While watching the state today, I believe it was Senate Bill 390, but I'm not certain. But at any rate, part of that was tied to an expiration date for the food and beverage. And then it sounded like they were going to try to put the innkeepers in there as well. So it's very important that we watch what's going on at the state. I know that it's not always easy to do and follow along. We've got great people at the AIC who's working for us to keep us informed. I hope that we'll all support the AIC and all of the hard work that they do for us. but that's something we have to keep an eye on because tourism dollars is important here. There's a lot of other things going on, folks. I mean, big stuff. I mean, doesn't mean it's going to make it to the end of the day, because if they're making sausage up there, like nobody's business in the short session.
Great. Thank you. Good reminder. Councilor Crossley.
Yeah, and I definitely echo Council Member Hawk's comments about what's going on at the state, because there is a lot that's going on at the state that we definitely need to pay very much close attention to in respect to a lot of things. But I just wanted to add as well, next Tuesday, this is just a plug, because this has been the longest. I feel like January has just lasted forever and forever and forever. But we are near the end. We are closer to spring. But next Tuesday is the start of a new month, and it is February, and we all know what that means. At least I hope we do. That is Black History Month. And so it is definitely Black History Month. We all know is 365 days a year, not just 28 days in a month or 29, depending on a leap year. So I just encourage anybody to just find things within the city of Bloomington and in the county in respect to learning more history. Morgenstern's bookstore has a great display of books and things like that as well. It's just a plethora of things that are happening and going on within the community. So I definitely would encourage everybody to challenge yourselves and push yourselves to learn just more, one more thing of Black History Month. That's all.
Great, thank you. Good reminder. Any other council comments? Okay, seeing none, then I think we are adjourned. Thank you.